It's about to get real.
All right, we're
All
going
right,
live
y'all
now.
gonna
We're
come
going
from the
live
spot.
now. The music's playing. All right, the intro is coming in. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I heard him say nothing. I can see my mic popping. I hope y'all's is.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready.
Bad news. What it does? Yo, what's up, my brother?
What's up? What's up? Another week, another Friday night, man. How you doing over there in Big LA and all those things?
Blessed and highly favored. You know what I'm saying? Living my best life or trying to get upgraded, one or the other. You know what I'm talking about? How you doing, man? What's going on with
You
you and
know, I
ATL? My
oh
ATLian
man,
brother.
the ATL is the ATL. It is wild, unpredictable, and traffic filled. But overall,
Hey,
it's a gumbo of love, good energy, and all kinds of other things. So
right
I
there.
can't complain. It's been another busy ass week on the owl front, and the weeks ahead are going to be just as more. But I cannot complain. As you said, we are highly favored. We are blessed, and we are here and fortunate to do yet another podcast
Whoop, whoop,
here
whoop,
on the
whoop.
wonderful world of We Come From Bad News, man. You ready to get into this thing and,
I
and, and
couldn't
and
be more
introduce
ready.
our guest as well, sir?
I couldn't be more ready, man. I'm so psyched right now. I'm so excited. Please,
All right,
let's
man,
go.
let's get it. All right, first of all, we want to do what we always do. We want to welcome the people who watching us on Facebook Live on this Friday night. I hope y'all can hear us. I hope you can feel our energy because it's Friday and we're ready to do big things. All right, so we want to welcome y'all to the cast. We want to welcome the people that listen to our podcast religiously on a weekly basis and leave us comments
We
and
appreciate
good
y'all.
feedback and all that stuff. All that stuff. We appreciate you. To episode 76 of We Come From Bad News. I am Al. That is my brother Nyaze Vincent. And tonight we're going to have another cool guest on to talk music, life, culture, and everything in between. I'll go ahead and give her a quick intro here, and then we're going to dive into and do what we do. So, this person that's going to be hanging out with us, I have not known her that long, but however, it feels as though she's been around a long time because that's how warm her spirit is. That's how nice she's been. She's I guess you could say a Jane of all trades.
Okay.
She's got a great pen. She can write. You know, she's in public relations. She's a creative. She can produce. She can get on a stage or something and be a host. She can speak. She can do a lot of things, and she has introduced me to some different things here in Atlanta in terms of some writings and things. She's helped put some things together for me, and I feel like digitally we've had an opportunity to link up, so it was time to kind of take it to a different level and introduce her to the podcast family, introduce her to our energy, invite her into our humble abode of conversation and life. So I wanted to introduce my friend, somebody who's got great energy, Kirby, Carol, and all that stuff like that. She's gonna hang out
Woo!
with me. What's happening?
Thanks, guys. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm from Hampton, so I love this Welcome to Bad News energy
Stop
too.
playing.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I'm hyped.
That's crazy, man.
I,
Al didn't tell me that,
I,
man. Did you know
I
that?
actually, I actually, when she said, I was just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, see, that's great. That gives you an opportunity right now to introduce yourself a little bit, tell the bit of people, who what you're doing, what's going on. You've got a lot happening. Introduce yourself a little bit. Tell them what's happening.
Yeah, so my name is Kirby Carroll. I am a writer, producer from Hampton, Virginia. Went to Clark, Atlanta, fell in love with ATL like everybody else, ended up staying here. And yeah, right now I'm promoting, like checking off the list, which is our new web series, but also like writing, interviewing, all that, just telling stories, whatever way that is. So yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. I
Yeah,
checked it out.
yeah.
I looked y'all up. I saw the
Oh,
Instagram.
nice.
I saw the Instagram. I saw
Okay.
the table read.
Yes,
So
yes.
you seem I love your enthusiasm and you're just, your childlike sort of just sort of brightness and just
Thank
shining. Yeah,
you.
you just seem so happy to be doing it and everybody there looked really polished and
Yeah.
it looked very serious. Didn't look like no small thing. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Thank you.
It looked like a real set. I'm from
We
LA.
made it work with
I'm,
what we had. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
No, it looked legit, man. I've been to a couple of my wife's things, so like I'm not no
Yes.
movie dude or nothing, but I'm like, yeah, I'd have been convinced. I'd have been convinced.
Okay, good. That's all we we got to put the illusion up. That's
That's what
all
I'm
that
talking about.
matters.
Yes.
See, that's
Thank
what I'm
you.
talking about too. No, I'm the same way. I saw a lot of what she was doing. I was very impressed. Like, for instance, I had the pleasure of doing that interview in Plastic Magazine with Brian
Yeah.
White. Well, Kirby is the one that actually made sure that Al got that particular write up, and she made sure
Hey.
she helped drive that home all the way to the end. Sending me texts. So yeah, you finished that up. What's up? What's going on? You got that done, Al? What's happening? So I appreciate her facilitating that and just being good people. And again, we haven't had a chance to kind of be in the same room and vibe, but I figured this was a great way for us to broker that introduction. So now that I
Yes.
also have remembered that she's from Hampton, that means that she's already a cousin because we come from bad news on this particular show right here. So
That's right.
you was only a pin tran ride away. We could have
Right.
definitely came and seen you. So that makes you family,
That's
and
right.
we welcome you to the show. So onward and
Exactly.
upward, we're gonna go ahead and get into this thing. So we are gonna start
Hey.
off with the trending topics in which we call the bottom line. The bottom, which you should hopefully know about this, and if not, you're going to know. The bottom represents the bottom of Hampton Roads, which we do call the bottom. It represents the
Mhm.
people who stay within that area. Their opinions are always going to be real and authentic, and we're going to be in that same vein as we cover these trending topics. So on that, let's get ready to get it. First one we're going to talk about is one that which has showed up on everybody's timeline, everywhere, doing everything. The great sandwich conflict, Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A. It's been a big debate. It has been pretty much an election of poultry that has been going on in the marketplace right now for nationwide chicken dominance. I personally, and I'm going to just put my quick spin on this right now, am not a fan of Popeyes at all. I don't go there for any reason. I don't even walk past a Popeyes. I'm definitely a person that'll eat more of a Chick-fil-A sandwich. So I probably will never know the difference between the two. Hell, I was at Chick-fil-A today, and I did. I ain't gonna even lie. I went to Chick-fil-A today and told the manager exactly what I'm gonna say right now. That Popeyes is not even in the same weight class as Chick-fil-A. It is insulting to be able to introduce those two restaurants. They're just two different planets. And for me giving that compliment, the manager gave me a free meal. So that
Okay.
totally built my loyalty right there. And so y'all can forget it. You're Popeyes eating so-and-so's.
Bribery. I like that. Subcept. Yeah,
Damn right.
bought you with a chicken
Hannah,
sandwich.
listen,
Okay. Good
shout
enough.
out to Hannah
Good
at
enough.
Chick-fil-A for giving me some free food. But anyway, Kirby, we will start with you. What is your opinion on the great chicken or poultry conflict that we have going on today?
People
Man,
gotta know.
I'm with you, Al. I love Chick-fil-A, okay? No one is about to take me away from Chick-fil-A. I had one Popeye sandwich and I was like, it's cool, it's chicken with some bread, but it's not Chick-fil-A. That's how I felt. I kind of
Facts.
feel like social media is doing too much. That's my opinion.
Well, look. Okay. Okay.
Word.
Okay.
What,
That's
what,
a
what, what Kirby said, spoken like two unbiased Atlanta residents. Go ahead.
that's a fair point. Okay. First of all, I just want to go ahead and just say that I want to tamp down on this. I just want to tamp down on this hate. For Popeyes. Okay. Popeyes is very decent chicken. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. As many. It's fine. Any chicken that you could buy behind bars and bulletproof glass, okay, must be very special chicken. Okay, Chick-fil-A ain't behind no bars and no glass. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Listen, think with your minds, y'all. Think with your minds. Okay, think with your minds. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh, God.
All right, R. Kelly.
White man wants you to believe the Chick-fil-A. Okay, all right, but
Listen,
Popeyes.
listen,
Actually, I don't know.
cannot do.
I don't eat any of that shit. I cook all my food at home as y'all should. I don't know what y'all are doing out here, running out here to eat these artificial ingredients, this orange chicken, orange breaded chicken, and all kinds of spices you don't know nothing about, and all y'all crazy and gun violence and black on black crime. It's the chicken. Stop it. Okay?
It is.
It's the
It's
chicken.
the chicken. It's killing us. It is.
Stop it.
And you're not wrong, but I will sneak me in some Chick-fil-A from time to time. So
True.
we have not, of course, settled any debates on this particular show in terms of that particular topic, but that is okay. I think that the consensus is that Popeyes is disgusting. So, all right, moving on.
Actually, can I just add one thing? No, we can move on. But one thing. Just only because we had our African brother, on there last podcast. The real thing that we learned from this is that black people like to argue about the food that we like, okay? Because Africans have the same argument about jollof And
Yeah.
Caribbean people have this same argument about curry. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. It's still,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying
That's true.
black people just like to argue about
That's a good
food.
point.
Okay.
And when it comes down to it, we're all blessed enough to be able to eat. And so for that, we're grateful.
Hey, get
All
yourself a
right.
chicken sandwich.
We got so much food that we argue about which food is best. I think we're
Goddamn
doing
right.
okay. You know what I mean?
Goddamn right. Goddamn
All
right.
right, good stuff. So, all right. So the bottom line on that one is, do what you do. Figure out what makes sense for you. But I'm rolling with the LaFay. I do not want to go to a place where the people behind the counter may potentially throw hands. Anyway,
That's real.
on a more serious note, or I should say, file this under, I wish somebody would do this to my kids. Texas middle school decides to use a Sharpie to cover up a young brother of color's haircut, because apparently there was something within their dress code that said that you could not have carvings or anything like that in their head. So someone at the school, or some groups of people, whatever the case may be, decided that I think they gave the young man a choice. They said he could either have in-school suspension, or they would have to use a Sharpie to cover up or maybe to try to conceal the line that he had carved into his head. And of course, that just sounds like a viable solution.
Ooh.
So anyway, he chose the Sharpie amount. And as he went home to his black parents and they saw what had happened, and after he told that story, they went off and decided to get themselves a lawyer. And they're now currently suing the school. We have their federal basically lawsuit out right now. Ma'am, what is your thoughts on these people in Texas just tripping?
I can't imagine, like, if somebody were to write on my child's head, like, that's crazy. They should sue. They should be arguing to go right. I can imagine what my parents would do if I came home with something like written on my head now, today.
Right? Right. You a grown ass woman, right?
Yes, that's ridiculous. Like,
They be like, let me talk to your boss.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
Yeah, my parents right now, to this goddamn day, as a 42-year-old man, would come to my job and be like, who in this office
Right.
had the audacity to lay hands
No,
on my
that's not
child?
okay.
No.
Yeah, they're bugging. I don't know what the hell they was thinking like that. So of course, as of this particular time period, nothing has really been done to rectify the situation. But there is a federal lawsuit pending, and the parents are not happy about it. Of course, it's getting a lot of press. I just think it's jacked up that that you need to be. And again, I saw the dress code. I get it. If you don't want someone to have more interesting haircuts or things like that, okay, you're well within your right to request that. I think it's stupid, but okay, fine. It's your school district. It's not mine. However, the solution is not suspension or carving a Sharpie in somebody's head or whatever. At minimum, hey, you send a note home and say, hey, your kid's got to do this or whatever. We might have this. There's just different levels that should have been put in place. You went right to in-school suspension. So the solution to it is to kick them out of class. I don't know.
Well, it's fucks with me, because on one level, I'll go further than that, Al, in terms of like the whole, you can have your own dress code, your dress policy. Fuck that shit. All that shit is Eurocentric brainwashing.
It's racist.
All the way down to all, and it's egregious to the point where like Hampton University still has like outdated rules in the business school where like you can't wear dreadlocks and dumb shit like this. So same
thing with Norfolk State.
Yeah, there's an ingrained real talk. Like there's certain black organizations where like I could probably go in and speak to kids and give them real game on how to get like serious middle class cheddar, but they won't have me because I smoke weed and have dreads. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't present in the way that that would be what they want to represent. So it's an ingrained anti-blackness inherent in the formation of the policies, but also on top of that, putting chemicals, putting whatever's in a Sharpie on
that young man's head,
on my dude's head. That's just also that's some straight like the way they link prison, the way we treat prisoners with the way we treat black kids in school, getting them used to that type of like only dress this, only say this, only do this at this time.
Yeah.
We can
getting them ready for jail. Basically.
Yeah, man, that's what that shit strike me as dehumanizing. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Yeah.
You never know the effects that stuff is gonna have on people too. Like that kid may have said, "I want to try this style. I want to do something different," then they rattle his head, and now he's afraid to be original or come up with a new idea
Yeah.
because he's like, I tried
Absolutely.
something, I got kicked out of school.
I
Like you
got
just
kicked
never know like
out.
what stuff
Yeah,
fits.
they don't
So
seem to understand the
yeah,
psychological. If I totally agree with you, the psychological effects that that can be. You have no idea what that kid is going through and how that's going to really affect him down the road. Apps, that's a great point
Yeah.
in terms of that. So, bottom line on that, they
mhm.
are definitely tripping down there in Texas, and I hope that they win that particular suit, and I hope that the rules definitely change
Yeah.
because
Sue the shit
y'all
out of
tripping.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm with you there. All right, Missy.
Hmm.
Hampton Roads native. She dropped the EP late last night. I got a chance to listen to a few. I think that Throw It Back, I think that's the name of the song or whatever.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
went kind of hard. That sounded like something where I was just like, oh, wait a minute. We first in the hands of time. It's a little
Yeah.
working situation. It definitely grew up. I did have a chance to listen to it or whatever. It's definitely more geared towards dancing. It's not kind of
As
that
usual.
slow R&B kind of thing or whatever. Just think of pretty much, about 4 or 5 club songs that all go Missy, except for one's maybe kind of mid-tempo, and she's got an acapella version.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to take a listen to it yet. I briefly kind of listened to it this morning as I was waking up, as I was kind of getting ready to kind of go into the office real quick. I got me a little bit of that Hampton Roads Portsmouth kind of flavor.
Nice.
Did Kirby, did you have a chance to take a listen to that yet?
I did, and my birthday was last week, and I'm putting together a little turn up playlist for tomorrow, and that definitely added a few of those songs. I
Mm.
like it. It's upbeat. It's fun. I feel like Missy, she like hasn't lost a beat, and I was kind of scared. Like we love her, but it's like, is it still gonna sound current? Like, what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's it gonna
Yeah.
sound like? But I think it sounded great. So yeah,
Yeah. That's a good
I
point.
think
It's like it's nothing worse than hearing somebody you know was the had a bot back in the day, and they come back out. You try to show your well, you ain't got kids yet. You try like listen to this. This she used to be something back in the day. Be like,
yeah,
this
yeah,
ain't hitting no more.
Yeah, no,
But
it's not. Well,
but
what it is, yeah.
but the
But
thing about Missy is that Missy always been like super weird and ahead of her time. So
hmm
so it's like she's kind of a timeless artist like that. Every time she comes out, it sounds like nobody's doing this.
right.
yeah, exactly. And to me, as I said, she was ahead of her time, and you just hit it
Hmm.
right on the head. Anyway, so to me, her music, it sounds just like okay. Now
Right.
we finally caught up at least a little bit to Missy. She was
Yep.
like 30 years ahead of us, and that's why it kind of sounds like she's right into the pocket of today's
Exactly.
sound, even though
Exactly.
she's still Missy. So
Yeah.
shout out to her. I'm gonna definitely give that some more spins. Anybody from Hampton Roads who loves good music and is a fan of Missy Elliott, you will not be disappointed.
Stop
So go ahead and
playing.
get you some of that energy. Stop playing. Go and get you some of that Portsmouth
Yeah.
love. All right, this last one here, I'm gonna pull an audible for people not as familiar with football language. That means that I'm about to change the play.
Oh,
We
Mm.
let
had
me listen.
we had another topic down there. I never know. I never know. We had another topic down here, but I'm going to call it audible and I'm going to switch it up because we got Kirby on and I want to get her energy around this. Let's call this one the last word on the JayZ NFL deal. Since you
Mhm.
and I talked about this last week, Yaze, with Big O, shout out to In the Black podcast, there's been, of course, some new conversations and some new information that came out. For instance, saying that, allegedly JD had told, JayZ had told JD, Jermaine Dupri, not to take a specific deal or the same deal that it came out. Jermaine has since come out and debunked that particular conversation, saying that that wasn't the case.
Yep.
There's been a lot of different opinions and stuff flying around.
Mhm.
Kirby, we did cover this last week, but since you were
Right.
not on the show last week, let's get your perspective on this thing based upon
Mhm.
the new information, the whole thing overall. What is your take? And then me and Yaze will give our final take on this podcast and put this topic to rest. Let's go.
Okay. You know what? This is hard for me because I'm a big Jay Z fan. Not only like for his music, but like his business endeavors
Mm.
and stuff he does for the community.
Absolutely.
Um, so it was hard. I just have to trust like that there's a reason. Like there has to be a reason. But then like the business side of me is like I heard he only has like 2%. So I don't know how much. You never know. Every count counts. You
Right.
know.
Right. Now you're right.
It's just kind of like what is going to be done. I just really hope it's not like a just a money thing because I think he represents like so much like in our community, like you know what I mean.
Yep.
So I was kind of upset when I heard that, but I feel like we don't know the whole story. My hope is that maybe he did speak to people, like maybe he spoke to Colin Kaepernick. I don't know, but I would hope that he spoke to him or at least his team, and that hopefully he's doing. Sometimes it's like those old sayings, like like every time sometimes we don't feel comfortable in those really like corporate settings or whatever. But it's like sometimes we gotta be in those uncomfortable settings because someone has to be there to make change and speak up about stuff. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Absolutely.
That may be it. He may be like, I know y'all hate me right now, but look, I'm trying to make it better for the long run. You just never know, you know? So,
I
I'm saying
yeah.
though, man. I'm saying.
Yeah, there might be, and we talked about this last week as well. We just said there might be just a chess move or a bigger plan to where we just don't know that yet. And I hope so, because just like you and me and Yazzie are on the same page with this, we love Hope. We're big fans of his movement and
Yeah.
what he represents and everything as well. So we both, it's there's some mixed emotions there in terms of how it was presented in the optics,
Oh
but
Right.
yeah.
we're
Optics only for me.
hopeful. Yeah, we're hopeful that it will turn out to be something positive and
Mhm.
something that really accomplishes what they say they're trying to do. That's
I
my
hope
last
so.
word on it. If you don't have anything else to offer, Yaze, we can move on and put this one to
I would
bed
say
for you.
one thing about it, okay?
Let's.
Mhm.
That's Hove's money, okay? Hove made his money making his money. Hove ain't never asked us how to make money. He ain't never asked us permission to make money. Uh,
True.
the reason Hove is in a position to be Hove
Mhm.
is because he has always gotten to the bag. Now these Monday morning quarterback niggas that ain't never made, that ain't got two motherfucking pennies to rub together. You know what I'm saying? These niggas who spend they child's birthday money, okay? Want to sit there
Yeah.
and second guess and be like, if I was in that position, this is what I would. Fuck that shit, nigga. You ain't in that position. You will never be in that position. You get in that position by putting yourself in that position. And then what you do from that position, you're gonna do from the perspective of a black man, and that's all I care
Right,
about.
right.
He ain't got an answer to me about how to be black, how to represent blackness, how to manifest it, how to prove to us that he's black enough, he's got our best interest in mind. All he has to do is look out for himself and his black ass family, and he's doing exactly what the fuck I'm doing.
That's real.
And
He's doing
I got to
exactly
leave
what
that
I'm
there.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to leave that right there. I can't really add much more to that in terms of that. Jay is who he is. And again, as I said in my Facebook post, two things can be true. A person can be a pillar in the community, a great contributor, a great father, a wonderful
Mhm.
business or an astute businessman, and also a scumbag to people that he might do business with. Two things
That's
can
true
be true.
too.
So there you go. All right, moving forward here to the main topic. Not sure if y'all had a chance to see any of the trailers or mini little snippets they put out for the new Power season 6. It's going to be dropping. I think it comes out this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So I had to kind of dig that back up or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm curious to know kind of where they're going to go with it. Your take on kind of how things ended. We got Ghost, who's definitely off the rails now. He lost his baby girl. You got his main point of interest that has basically got himself all kind of secure and safe. You got some of the bosses being put away. You got different people who ain't here no more. We don't know what Tasha gonna do. We don't know what Tommy's gonna do. Kirby, kick it off for us. What you think about this new season of Power? What's gonna happen with Ghost and the fam?
Man, that is my show. First of all, I'm so excited. Shout out to my friend who let me use her password for stars this weekend.
Oh, the struggle is real. I love it.
Yeah. But I'm excited. Like I really, this is one of my favorite shows out right now. So I think it's gonna be hard because I really like, don't judge me, but I really like Tommy, and I feel like he's about to be the really, really bad guy like
Mm,
right
mm,
now.
mm,
So I think it's gonna be like that
mm.
Ghost versus Tommy for real. This, so last time it was kind of like they still kind of had that love for each other,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's really about to be because he doesn't shout at Angela, so Ghost on a whole nother level. So I'm curious to see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and I want
Yeah.
to see how Tasha evolves because I really like her character too. I feel like she's been through a lot.
Who? Which one? Tasha?
Tasha,
Tasha. Yeah, Tasha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tasha.
Tasha. Tasha.
yeah,
Tasha's
Yeah,
definitely had
I'm wondering if Tasha doesn't make a bigger move to become like a more centralized player, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like being a gangster now. Now that she's really got nothing
to
to
lose.
she got nothing to lose, and she's got nothing to keep her in that straight life, that square life anymore.
Yeah.
I think pretty much the theme of the show is probably gonna be like going for broke. My killing Angela was wild. I don't know. I think that was a big, like, my thing is that it feels like a different show. Like now all of the key sort of
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dramatic
yeah,
tensions
yeah.
have been resolved. So I'm like, I'm not exactly. I'm not sure what's gonna happen because I'm like, I don't know what is left to happen. What is left
Right.
to happen? You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, You have to invent some new shit. You have to invent some new problem or whatever for me to understand. Because I felt like they wrapped that shit up pretty tight, man. Pretty tight. Pretty
Yeah.
tight.
I agree. They did. That's kind of why I brought it up too, because I'm just like I'm not sure as to kind of where we're gonna go
Yeah.
with it. But I agree with you on that. I think that Tasha's gonna kind of have to fend for self. So I think in
Right.
some aspect or way she's going to build a hustle or something that's going to kind of tap her into some things. And of course, it's going to probably conflict with anything that Ghost is doing,
Right.
because of course that's just how that goes. That's their two step. I think that the son is also going to play a very big role. I think he's going to be
Yeah.
a young Ghost.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be the emerging kind of character that's going to become more of a problem than I think that he's. I think he's going to. This is going to be his coming out party. I think
Yeah.
that I think we saw a preview of that per the last season, but I think that this is really going to be his coming out party. So all those parents who watch Power with belts in your hand, you're going to probably do that again this season as it relates to that particular character. You're going to want to beat his ass because he's just bad like that.
I
That's
gotta
just
tell you,
kinda-
I gotta say though, now that you bring him up, that's an interesting opportunity because he is a younger character, so there's a lot of potential there. What would create some immediate interest, and I'd be surprised if they don't pull this one, is that he's old enough to have a kid now. So if he got it, so if he got somebody pregnant, and then all of a sudden he had a responsibility and something, because the main thing about him right now, like his last season, he was kind of wilding, and he's this kind of presenting him as this sort of budding nihilist, sort of like he don't give a fuck about nothing, nobody, no, but
Right.
but like if you give him a
Right.
kid, all of a sudden he's got something, he's got to care about something to love, and that might be a replacement for losing his sister and that kind of shit. So I wonder if they'll play with that, like. They got to expand the network of relationships. You know what I mean? That's what's got to happen. Yeah.
I like that. I like exactly where you're going with that. That'd be a very interesting take. What were you going to say there, Kirby?
No, I'm curious too what they're gonna do with Dre, because I mean I feel like for so long we just kind of wanted his character to die off, and he just like stayed through. So I wonder if he's gonna be like kind of like on their side, because towards the end, I think last season he was kind of with them a little bit towards the end.
Yeah, he was. He had to flip by necessity.
Yeah.
Then no, Dre is an interesting character because he has played every side, and you do hate that dude
You do.
so much.
Yeah, it's people just come up to him in real life and just be like, "Yo, man, I hate you."
Yeah, I
Just,
hate you, bro.
everything."
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you like you too good at this role, man. There's something about you, nigga. There's something about you that's
I
too.
don't like you. I don't trust you, so I don't trust you.
Yeah. You bring too much. I feel like you bring too much of yourself to this role, bro. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. No, I feel like there's a lot of potential there for him to do some weasel shit, but I think really what they got to do is surprise us. I feel like if they don't introduce new characters and new dynamics, and they don't introduce a new generation of characters to care about, I think they run the risk of this feeling too much like a soap opera, and only a certain time, and only a certain viewership can tolerate fucking 12 years of this back and forth, will they, won't they, all that shit. Nobody.
No, I agree. They do have to bring the pain this season. This is a very.
It's got to be expanded universe. I got to see expanded universe, not reboot. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of have to, because from what I'm hearing, and Kirby, you might know a little bit more about this as well. They're going to be expanding the universe with spinoffs. So in order for them to do those, they're going to have to create some different arcs that kind of allow them to be able to introduce different scenarios and different things that they can take into these new shows. So this season they kind of have no choice but to kind of Marvel comic universe it.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be the thing going forward, man. Everybody's gonna have a universe because it's. Never mind. That's a whole other subject. But everybody, you could sell a world and just put new people in it, and people will keep buying that world, and you don't have to fuck with actors no more. You don't have to really be dependent on actors no more. That's what I see in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's one of my favorite shows right now. Like, I'm really curious where that's gonna go though. But with it being the last season, I also hope my expectations aren't too high, because when they killed 50's character, I know he had stuff to do. Like, I get it, but it was just kind of like. I feel like that's when it had this little dip for a little. Maybe because he was just such an interesting character to me.
Yeah.
It was like, nobody's gonna be Kanan now, so it kind of messed it up a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a very good point. He was kind of the glue, because he was attached to everyone in every way. Every character character he had his hands on. So with him kind of being out of it, and he was really good at what he did. He was very good at being bad. So with
Correct.
him kind of being taken out of it like that, I agree that does kind of change the dynamic. Because also out of all of the characters,
Mhm.
he was about pretty much about the closest to Ghost outside of Tommy.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it is interesting you honing on that because when you think about it, like only a couple of the characters to me have a very clear arc. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tommy doesn't really trying to change. Tommy's just trying to be Tommy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ghost wants to go clean, and he keeps getting thwarted by his past, trying to bring him back in. So like what he's trying to do is very clear over the course of all of the entire series. The same thing for Kanan is that he's betrayed, so he's trying to get back what he feels like
Mhm.
he's lost, and get to the place where he feel like he always was supposed to be. And so his arc
Mhm.
is clear over the course of the series. I don't think anybody else's arc really is like everyone else's arc comes
Mhm.
from that. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Everyone
It's all
else's
over the
energy
place.
comes from that. So that is a
Yeah.
good point you bring up there. You remove Kanan, uh, what is the yang or the yin to
Yeah,
Ghost?
because he was the ultimate balance. It was just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Ghost was, as you said, he was trying to always try. We're gonna
Hmm.
put the quotations around that because
Mhm.
boy did he get sidetracked. He trying to kind of do something bigger and get out the game, whereas Kanan
Right.
he exists and lives for the
Yeah.
Yeah,
game.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's what
That's
he's
exactly
fighting
right.
for.
That was a central tension of the story was, is it better to rule in heaven than to serve in? I mean, is it better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven? That was the
Yeah.
central tension. And Kanan was like, it's much better to rule in hell. And
Yeah.
Homie was like, no, I'd much rather be I'd take
Yeah.
I'll take L's to be in heaven.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the central story.
I'm with you, Kirby. You want to wrap this up before we go on to this next one here, which is going to be your area.
Oh.
Oh, cool.
Last word on this power season here.
Man, I'm just excited. I like y'all mentioned the character arcs. I want to see where everything goes. The film nerd in me. I know a lot of times the first episode sometimes shadows the last episode. Like
Mm,
there's always like
mm.
a clear opposite. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yep.
So I kind of want to rewatch that first episode just to see like how they. I don't know. Like remember the first episode? Like he was opening up the club. I wonder if the last episode the club's gonna be closing down. I don't know.
No, I
But
hear
I
what you're
was
saying. Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah, yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Very
to see how
nice.
it comes
Symmetry.
full
Yeah,
circle. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited about that. I'm excited about seeing where the characters go. Like you said, I hope it's no soap opera type feels, but I trust them. I trust the show, so I think it's gonna be good. I'm
Right on.
excited.
Right on.
All right, right on, right on. All right, so Power Season 6, we're going to definitely be talking about that. I'm going to probably send some tweets out about that as it goes on as well. Hell, we might put something special together for that, but we are also going to put some YouTube clips out on this particular episode talking about that. So let's keep it moving. All right, we're going to turn the corner and talk a little about something that's more so in Kirby's wheelhouse. Well, it's in all of our wheelhouses to some degree, but she actually has created a web series and a whole thing about it. So therefore, and on top of that, she's out here living in these Atlanta streets, having to deal with the struggle
That's
of the
right.
whole courtship process.
That's true.
So, as we talked about at the top of the show, Kirby has a web series called Checking Off the List. It is built about relationships and what men and women may want and what they're looking for and the struggles to be able to identify that ideal mate in order to build something with. I'm going to step to the side and basically kind of set it up, and I'm going to let her knock it down. But let's kind of start. For you being a young lady, a beautiful woman out here in these streets, working hard, establishing yourself. What is the relationship cycle like right now? Like me and JayZ are married. We turned our jerseys
Very
in many
married.
years ago.
Yeah.
Our jerseys have been hanging in the Raptors for many years. So we have no idea what is going on in these streets. There was no Tinder when me and JayZ were coming up. There was no swipe left or to the right. There was no electronic menu of ask. It was
I
available.
had Hot or
like
Not.
that.
I had Hot or Not for like 1 year in college before I graduated. Hot or Not.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was a website. You had to get on the Netscape. You had to get on Netscape.
Yes, with Vista.
Yeah, exactly. You had to get
You
you had to get
know,
a CD in the mail. You had to get a CD in the mail to get on the
see, you
internet.
had to go through all kinds of stuff in order to get any type of electronic love. But now the internet is out of control. You pretty much can log find yourself a mate for the day or potentially for life, depending on how how it all bounces. So, ma'am, if you could tell us about, of course, let's talk about your show and how that kind of ties into relationships. But let's just in general talk about the relationship life cycle being a single woman in this game. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, first of all, shout out to y'all being two black married men. That's what we always like to see. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? It's the show is a real life of like what I go through, my friends go through, coworkers. It's just that idea of, this is what I'm looking for. Here's the things I want in a mate. And dating to find that. And as y'all know, like I'm sure just from even just being here, like Atlanta is not necessarily the best place to do that. You know what I mean? And then also with social media and just the culture we live in, that kind of like instant gratification type culture, it's hard if you're looking for certain qualities. So I mean, really, I just combined my own experiences, experience of my friends, and just kind of made a show where a woman is like trying to find her mate and goes through like quick, they're like 5-minute episodes, but little dates to give you like an idea of what this like millennial dating is like. So there's episodes, there's Netflix and chill where she just comes over and she immediately tries to go for it. And at the premiere, we actually got to talk to people and ask questions. It was interesting. We had some people saying like, well, she was wrong. She invited him over, she drank with him. What did she think was gonna happen?
Yeah.
We also had people saying like he was wrong. So
interesting. Okay. So you're not. It's not. It's. What is the tone? It feels like. Is it a comedy? Is it a dramedy? Because it feels like you're tackling some serious issues along with maybe some more lighthearted ones.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fun, it's quick, but it's more so to spark conversation, that kind of thing. Like,
right on.
Like in a situation like that, for example, like who would y'all think is more in the wrong?
Wrong?
Right.
Whoa.
Everybody's wrong. Everybody's wrong and everything like that.
Well, no, I think the rules are. I think the rules today. I'm in LA. I'm in liberal ass LA. So the rules here are. If a woman comes to your house and she says you can go down on me, and you go down on her, and she decides after say 3.5 minutes she does not want you to go down on her anymore, and she says stop going down on me, you are to immediately cease. You are to apologize for doing a shitty job, and you're supposed to give her some Uber money so she can get the fuck out where she's supposed to go, where she wants to go.
Yeah.
Real simple. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's what I'm teaching my son. That's what I'm teaching my son. I'm just like, hey, it's all working, good until she says no. And then after that, bye. Goodbye.
Totally agree.
Good job. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. So that kind of stuff. We have one where there's an episode where she comes in and she's like, what's your goals? What do you do for a living? And the guy's kind of like, this feels like an interview. Like, are we on a date or are we just vibing? And same thing. Some people were saying like you got to set your expectations early. Other people were saying like that's
a good point.
Like
that's a no. That's a good one. That is a good one because it's like I do feel like most of dating, or at least what I remember of it, is based around frivolous shit that won't ever reflect the important part of a relationship, which is how do the two of you handle stress?
Right.
Like that's a great question.
It's real. I mean, like we going under best case scenarios. I got money tonight. You got money tonight. We had we eating good. We gonna drink some. We gonna have the best sex because we don't know each other that well. All this shit is the height. This is the height of the situation.
Right.
No, what we need to do is go play like paintball. You know what I'm saying? With a bunch of strangers. You know what I'm saying? And be like, let's see who got each other's back. You know what I mean? Like, let's see who can handle this pressure.
See, JayZ wants to put the pre-relationship through a stress test.
Yeah, see, I would have been like, so I'm definitely would have been one of the people that have been like, yeah, definitely interview as thoroughly as possible because once you in this situation, it's very hard to get out, is all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Okay, so kind of turning the corner, now that we've kind of talked about kind of the baseline of the show and what you're doing there and kind of some of the discussions you have, right now, okay, let's talk about this. We got social media that's now a part of it. You got the ability to DM people. How does all that work now? Like, honestly, I do not know how in the hell people really link up and have anything meaningful with each other anymore because, I mean, you just have Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So you've got all these electronic pulses of energy that's coming at you, and all of them are DMing you in different ways and trying to holler at you. How do you, sort through all of that and try to find somebody halfway decent? And then, like, what's the stages? Like, are you DM me? Were we supposed to meet at Starbucks later? How does this work? I don't know how this is supposed to go down.
Yeah, I'm somebody who likes communication, so I really had to adjust to this like new way of thinking. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Okay.
I've definitely been places. Like I saw a guy out. I looked like I've met him before, just in passing kind of thing. And then got home and I had a DM like, "Hey, I saw you today." And it was like,
Wow.
That's weird. Hold on. Y'all was in
that's the norm.
y'all was in regular human space, not like on the other side of a bridge, but like in regular human and y'all walked past each other and y'all recognized each other, but instead of saying anything, y'all both went about y'all ways, and then later he hit you up to be like, "It was cool seeing you." Like,
Yeah. Are you kidding me? That's the most millennial thing I've ever heard of in my entire life, right there.
Oh my
Like, we can't have a conversation with "I'll text you later." What? You can't pick up the phone? What
I'm gonna be
game is
real.
that?
I'm gonna be. You know what's
I
funny?
was just like, okay, like good to see you too. Like, it was just weird.
Had y'all had had y'all been intimate before? Were y'all in a relationship before? Or were y'all just friends? Or?
No, it was just like we had mutual friends, we knew of each other, that kind of thing. But no, never dated, never talked, nothing. Just on some
See,
random
that's
stuff.
crazy. See, it's nuts because and I'll say this is a true story too. Like I messed around. I don't think she's on my page anymore. She was this one girl. She did like fitness stuff on those people who do the gym stuff and they trainers. So every post they put out, they lifting or doing something. So she was one of those people. And I knew she lived like in my area because whenever she went to the gym, she would tag the gym that was not far from me. So I knew she was in my area. One time I messed around and went into a LA Fitness and I recognized her instantly because she's on my page all the time. I didn't speak, I didn't say nothing at all or whatever. I just kind of kept it moving. But I swear about a day later, she ended up liking one of my pics, and we ain't never have that kind of, some people just have on your page, they inactive as hell. But then all of a sudden she'd like one or two pics as to say, "I saw you." And I'm just like, you could have just said hi when you saw me in the damn gym.
Hello. Yeah. Isn't it? Think about like in a few years or so, like what if people just don't know how to communicate? I think about stuff like that, like, because everything is so on the phone.
I mean, okay.
I love social media, but it's getting weird.
Well, I'll come in from this perspective. Is I will tell you, I always approach it from a different angle.
The devil's advocate has arrived.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. In this case, I'm the introvert's advocate because I am an introvert. I'm a homebody. I'm a homebody. I don't like to have disordered conversations about things I don't understand or things I don't know, I'm not familiar with. Doesn't interest me. So for me, I've always found that I can communicate really well with people over text messages because they are short, contained bursts of relevant or irrelevant information that I could choose to acknowledge or not acknowledge. I like that power. You see what I'm saying?
I can respect that.
Whereas like people try to call me these days, and I found like I used to hate the phone. And now I love the phone because now people call me and I send them right to messages. I send them a message. And now the message goes, "Hey man."
He's one of those types. You call him up and he goes right to voicemail, then he send you a text. "What's up?"
You're calling me. Yeah, you're calling me. What's wrong? You know what I mean? Like what's wrong?
You don't have that type of get on the phone relationship. What are you doing?
Yeah, why are you doing that? Yeah, so I think I would have been I think I missed my era of dating. I think I might have been balling right now. I think I might be macking right now. Cause I could just like spend all night just hitting DMs. I could have no problem with that. But like going to a club back in the 90s when you had to be able to dance and sell drugs and be like 6 foot, you know what I'm saying? Like you had to and have a gun and a car, you know what I'm saying? Like you had to have everything to get a girl back in the 90s. I wasn't macking like that.
It was a lot happening. Yes.
Different times.
Very
Very
Now
much
you
different
so.
just
times.
make up a life.
Very different times.
Yeah,
Now,
and and see you just hit the next area I was gonna do, Jen.
mm,
We're gonna round third on this one here because we could rap on this one all night long.
yeah, it's funny.
But you brought up another angle I was gonna do it. Now shit, I just forgot it. Just said how I see marijuana is bad for you kids.
What did you last say, sis?
All right.
You can make up another life.
You can
Yeah,
make.
there you go. Thank
Okay.
love you.
Got
Yeah,
you, got you.
that's the challenge too. Like now, I mean, don't get me wrong. At every point in time during all these dating histories, even back in the '90s, people was never, what they were, what they really were. I mean,
Right.
especially if they didn't go to the same high school as you. Yeah,
Oh
they
hell yeah, you was
they
you was
was a
lying your
totally
ass off.
different person altogether, than what they were. So now with social media, it's even crazier because you just have an online profile. Again, you're just an electronic post, a picture, a video. This person can be showing you anything, and it could be absolutely not true. You're like, "What? Okay, he don't live there, or she don't live there. That ain't her ass, or that ain't her car, or that ain't where he ain't really take that trip. I mean, Bow Wow showed you that it's out of control. So in the dating scene, I'm like,
Mhm.
how do y'all get to know like the real person and to like
Mm,
do that more so on the day,
who is
or
the real person?
do
Yeah.
you ask for like a Skype video and say, okay, do a 360 of your house,
Mm,
okay, you in the car, all right, show me
Let
everybody
me
in the
see.
car,
yeah.
like
What's your mom's account? What's your mom's account? Let me add
Right,
her. Add her.
right. So people don't even put their real names on their social media. On social
Mhm.
media, he's known as sneakers and dildos or some shit like that.
Definitely sneakers and
But then his
dildos.
name is Stan, Kirkland in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, how,
Right.
I hope so. I hope it's
oh,
Stan and not sneaker dildos. That would be bad.
my my IG name is Sneakers and Dildos, son. Okay, I
My thing about it. How what does it feel
Tell us
like?
the real though.
What does it feel like to date in an era where everybody is a star? Do y'all dance? Do y'all dance at the club together at each other? You know what I'm saying? Like not at the
Mm.
phone, like not making a vibe, not catching a vibe, but like with each other. You
Right.
know. I've been to the club. I've been to the club recently, and I was just aghast. I was like, I don't even know what's happening right now. Everyone is
Because
in a
everybody's
video.
just dancing their phone.
Everyone is in a video. Yeah, everyone's dancing with themselves. I was like, I don't even know what's happening right now. Everyone was like this,
Yeah.
that part.
catching a vibe, and I was like, this is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I see that sometimes too. I'd be there like, okay, so could we have snapped in the living room? Like,
Yeah, I'm
like,
saying,
at home?
like,
For real.
yeah, like what, like, but like now I'm starting to, it's just starting to, I'm fascinated by this shit, the whole transformation of spaces and like what it used to be, because it's not like we didn't go to the club and play the wall. A lot of people played the wall, but there
Absolutely.
was nothing else to
Right.
do. So eventually you had to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like eventually you got there and you like, I got to talk to a girl, or I got to talk to,
Mhm.
or I got to stand here with these dudes and we got to talk about talking to a girl.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now these dudes, now I feel like I go to the club and I don't know, maybe they're having a better time. They almost seem like they're having a better time than I ever did because they are like by themselves or like with a couple other people and they're having a relationship with untold millions. You know what I'm saying? Like in their mind. In their mind,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like millions of people are dancing with them and enjoying their enjoyment. And I'm like, if only I could have felt that good about myself. Do y'all have self-esteem or y'all just faking it? I need to know.
I feel like a lot of that does
Whoa, I gotta turn it.
sides. Like I just couldn't. I don't know. Like I get it, but some days I'm just like, okay, so you really at the club with all these people? We just posting ourselves. Like
Yeah.
talking.
I totally agree.
That's the part. That's the part where I'm like, and then how do y'all meet each other? Does anybody in the club ever approach somebody in the club? Or do y'all have to DM or like, I don't know. I don't know.
Approach in the club. I think. But I will say, I feel like people are a lot more confident in the DMs. Like you'll see somebody personally like, "Hey, what's up?" And, "Hey, how are you?" You get home, it's like, "What's up?" You know I'm missing it. What? So I have noticed that. Like I feel like
Get that
people are a
courage.
lot more comfortable behind the screen.
I like that.
And you were saying out too about like communicating. I think from the apps and stuff, like FaceTime and everything is very important. Because you gotta make sure they're real. You gotta
Right.
meet someplace public. So they're not crazy. All of that stuff. I feel like matters. I'm not a big fan of the apps, but I think at the end of the day, just to be like, I'm honest. I think a lot of times that's how people meet now too. So I kind of had to get out of that a little bit, but it's
Mm.
not fun.
I can't even imagine,
Gotcha.
man. It makes me tired just thinking about it. I mean, I've been married for like 10 years. I'm married to a black woman, thank God. But
Yeah, me too.
Yes, amen.
yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a losing battle. Don't I mean those? I mean, amen. Yes, I appreciate it. But like my son's definitely marrying a white woman. You know what I mean? Like I see the future for what it is, or Asian, or some Moroccan girl. You know what I mean? Like there's only so far. There's only so long you can hold on unless you're going back to Africa. Is what I'm starting to realize. You know what I'm saying? You move to a big city. Well, maybe Atlanta, Africa or Atlanta. I think those are
You
the two
gotta
options.
move to Atlanta,
Yeah.
bro. But then again, I live way out in the suburbs, and I already know how this story is gonna end. I'm
Oh, I
hoping for
see
the
you. I see
best.
your kids' Instagram. I see your kids' IG. I see who you be
Yeah,
rolling with. Yeah, I
yeah.
know.
As you see, I'm keeping it very real with you. Yeah, I have moved into a very affluent area, and I'm hoping for the best. But yeah, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
It's 50-50. I
Yeah,
don't
my
know.
son is definitely going to some Renaissance fairs. It's all good. I'm just cool with that now. I'm just all. But you know what? It's wonderful now that you got black geeks. So it's like it's not that he has to lose himself like maybe once upon a time you had to when you married your white woman. Now you can stay black when you marry your white woman. And also, I'm also happy that well no, also what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm also seeing a lot more black women. I read Madame Noir. They talking about it, like black women shedding the shame of dating white men. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Talking about how they come to terms with white penis and all that. It's just I think it's touching, man. It's touching. It's touching. That we all just find the equality.
On that note, right there, we're going to go ahead and tie that one in a bow and move on to round third to this last one. I'm going to let JayZ go ahead and take this one, and we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Again, we started on a Friday, but we are ending on a Saturday. Club, we come from bad news. All right, this
Yes.
last one here, man, is basically the custody battle between Sony, who basically has owned Spider-Man all along. But for the longest time, they had a great relationship with Marvel and brought us all kinds of great movies, some of them not so much. But for the most part, the franchise has probably been one of the most successful within the MCU, I would imagine.
Yep.
And so Sony, all these years, have probably been just a tad salty for not getting all of that money. I'm sure they got some of it, but not as much as I'm quite sure that they have seen made. So after a while, Sony said, you know what? I'm tired of all of this. I'm going to take this back. So Sony decided to take their Spider-Man basketball and leave the playground, leaving Marvel pretty much with some things they got to reconcile and do. So JayZ, I'm gonna let you kind of drive this one a
Yes.
little
Let
bit
me.
there, sir. It looks like Sony has kind of won the custody battle, and now may potentially give us the reboot that we didn't ask for. Your thoughts, sir?
Let me. Okay. First of all, everything you said was not right. Let me let me correct that.
Break all
Okay.
that down.
All right. So what happened was is back in the '90s, Marvel almost
That's
went.
why I had you lead it. Go ahead.
I would have happily took the ball. Back in the night, I'm a nerd. This is my thing.
I know.
Back in the
I know you got
'90s,
it. Go ahead. Get me right. Get me right.
back in the '90s, Marvel was going bankrupt because kids were not interested in comic books anymore, and they thought in order to stop themselves from going bankrupt, they sold off a number of their properties to various uh, movies studios. So because they thought movies would be a great way to sell more comics. Isn't that cute?
Eureka.
Isn't that cute, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
so right. So this is before they realized that they could just make movies. So they sold some shit to Sony, they sold some shit to whatever owner before Disney, Fox. They sold some shit to Fox, and then Marvel kept some stuff, right? But the stuff they sold to Sony was really good stuff. They sold some really like the Fantastic Four, which was the first comic book series in Marvel Universe. They sold that. They sold Spider-Man. So all that stuff Sony got, right? And Sony made great movies. They made those movies with Tobey Maguire that were really dope. Everybody loved those until the last one. Um, and then they made the reboot. They made all the reboots. They did all the Spider-Man shit. All that was Sony. Marvel
Okay.
didn't step. Marvel did. Then Marvel took all its bullshit characters that it had left over in the 2000s, starting with Iron Man in 2008, and nobody read those comics. They were all bullshit, right? And the MCU out of that. The whole time, the other studio that owned the other big franchise, X-Men, Fox owned that, right? So then Disney bought Marvel, then Disney Marvel buys Fox, so now they got all of this shit together. They got all this leverage. They go to Sony. They say, "Look, we're the best. You keep making shitty Spider-Man movies. The last two sucked. The last one had like Jamie Foxx playing Electro.
Oh,
it was
I didn't even watch it, but I saw the
I
preview.
remember that.
it was so dumb. It was like dumber than dumb. It was the worst of the worst. So Sony was like, we're making shitty Spider-Man movies. We're making great Marvel Universe films. How about we partner? We use Spider-Man the way he should be, and we make some good Spider-Man. Sony's like, we got nothing to lose because everything we're dealing is bupkis. So they let Marvel do it, right? Sony gets a percentage of that money that they make with the Spider of when they use Spider-Man, but they get the majority of the money when they make a Spider-Man film, and Marvel only gets like 10% of like the first dollar. Like they get nothing. They were getting pennies on a fucking dollar of these deals. But they were willing to do it because Spider-Man was such a huge character, and they knew it would add so much to the franchise. Okay, so fast forward after two successful cameos and then two successful Spider-Man MCU films, right? Marvel basically goes to Sony and says, "Look, you know we got a great thing going here, but we got to stop this fucking bullshit where we're taking on all the costs and we're not making the majority of money. We got to be partners from here on out, 50-50. You put up 50% of the financing because currently we're putting up all the money for the financing, and then you put up, and then we'll be partners." Sony said, "Suck my dick," and that's what happened. And so, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
There
Well,
you go.
Yeah.
All right. So I got about half of that right. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. That's all.
I got the premise right.
You got the premise right, yeah. So for that,
nuance to
that
it
being
that
so
I
that
needed him to
yeah,
do.
but that being the case, so now Spider-Man is probably not going to appear in future MCU films, and he'll be walled off into the universe that Venom, lives in, wherever that is, or some
Gotcha.
shit, and he won't
Though
interact.
I did like Venom. I thought
Venom was dope. Venom was dope, but Spider-Man without the rest of the MCU is going to be not. It's going to be not as interesting as you think. Yeah, it's not. It's going to be not as cool. And I don't. But I still have the smart money to me is. I think the fan outcry is going to be so large that eventually they're going to see the light and they're going to figure out something, a way to make this happen.
I agree. Kirby, you want to chime in on this?
I mean, I don't know as much about it, but I do. I kind of agree with the last thing he told. Like he said, okay, it's not easy. I was y'all the big Batman person. That's like I really like Batman trilogy. That's all I know about. But but I learned something today. You feel me?
I love you anyway. That's right.
I love everything about that.
Little did I know as a kid I was bullied for this knowledge, and now it has turned into my superpower. Not being a black nerd is a superpower.
Isn't that cool how that kind of all works out there? It's like the stuff that you were ridiculed for, but then later on it's just like all the ladies that you want to talk to. It's just like, hey,
that's interesting. You know so much about movies. I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. I read the source material. I'm really
Why? Well, cool. You know what? It's 12:07. Well, actually 12:08 just flipped on over. I think that we've done this justice. I think we provided the people with some good conversations. I think that Kirby has brought what I thought she would bring to the table, which is great energy, great conversation, and she kept us in line.
You're welcome anytime. Welcome anytime, cousin.
We appreciate you hanging out. You're from Hampton, so therefore you are officially one of our cousins.
Yes.
To close the show on out for us, tell the people where they can find you about your upcoming projects, all that kind of good stuff.
Yes. Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun. I really liked it. So
Good.
thanks for having me.
You're welcome to come back anytime and promote some stuff.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. And y'all can find me on social media at Ask Kirby Carroll, ASK Kirby Carroll. Check it off the list. It's on YouTube, Facebook video. You can just look up Kirby Wright on YouTube, Kirby Carroll Wright on Facebook, and that's where you can watch all the videos. And follow me on social media. Also write for Exo Nicole, so we have some new content coming out. And yeah, super
Wonderful.
excited.
Wonderful.
That's
Black
talking
Girl
about.
Magic. Black
Yeah,
Girl
I'm telling you,
Magic.
over there with an active pen too.
We
And if you've
love it.
not had a chance to read some of her articles, definitely Google her up. Check out some of those. She's got a great pen, and she brings that personality to the table in her creative expressions as well. So thank you for being on. Yaze, tell the people where they can find you and what you do and all that stuff.
Yeah, man. Come listen to my podcast. Also on the VPN, the Very Positive Niggas Network. No, I'm sorry. Village Podcast Network. I always get that mixed up. The Village Podcast Network, which is a growing network of adult themed podcasts with an intellectual bent. Um,
I like that. I like that.
Okay.
Let's
it
go.
sounds provocative. Doesn't that sound provocative? You want to
It
listen to
sounds
you.
interesting as hell.
Yeah, you're gonna be mad when ain't no porn stars on here, but that's all right. We working on it. We might start having porn stars on the show. That might be fun.
I have no problem with that.
I'm
I
very
would totally do
yeah,
that.
sex
That
positive
sounds
feminism.
interesting as hell.
But that being said, come check me out with my wife. We have a podcast where we talk about political shit in a slightly funny way. Woke with kids. Come drink with us after we put the kids to bed. It's a good time. Woke with kids. We're on all the podcast things.
All right, good stuff. Shout out to Woke with Kids. And for us, you can definitely check us out here in terms of We Come From Bad News. We're on all different platforms where you can find podcasts. Of course, we appreciate everybody chiming in and looking things up and giving us that love. I see y'all out there on the Facebook. Shout out to YouTube. We're going to get this out to y'all as well. In terms of myself, you can find me on my IG, Algernon's October. My Twitter is AlDiddy1712, ALDIDDY1712. And you can continue to follow We Come From Bad News on all of our platforms. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us for another week to talk music, culture, life, and everything else in between. Peace out. Episode 76. Let's get it.
Boom. All right. Stop recording. And goodbye, everybody on live. Good time.